Gotcha. Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Mhm.
All right, so let's talk about a couple more issues. So common errors, and
Mhm.
then I-526Es not being trackable. How do you deal with some of these issues? And
Right,
we can
I
go
think
one by one on the left.
sure. So one is the document not being delivered to USCIS. I can't emphasize this, not a spokesperson for FedEx, but we exclusively use FedEx to deliver our applications, and we use air FedEx freight, right? We do not put our petitions on a truck through FedEx. So everything is done by FedEx Air, either overnight or next day delivery, so it gets delivered. I've had experiences with USPS, UPS, and over the last decade, I know that FedEx is the one to constantly deliver. We also make sure that we have a copy of the tracking number. We provide that tracking number to our client, and as soon as the petition gets delivered, we download the delivery confirmation and save it. Recently, we had a case where the government issued a preliminary receipt notice but forgot to issue an actual receipt notice with the case number on the 526C. We were able to send the FedEx tracking number to the government, and the government was then able to issue the receipt notice, right? Attorneys need to maintain these documents if you're going to fight with Lockbox or if you're going to fight with USCIS. If you do not retain these records, you have no evidence that anything was ever filed. The second one is the adjustment of status that is improperly denied. We just talked about that. What Sam has right there is example of an email that we sent to Lockbox in which Lockbox acknowledged that the file was rejected in error, and they invited us to refile the 485 with the same payment and supporting documents. They, of course, requested the tracking number, and they agreed to assign the original receipt date, which was October 28th, right? So again, the rejection was a month later. And if I refile in December and I do not coordinate with Lockbox, you've lost a month and a half on USCIS error. Extremely important, again, to ask your attorney to plan, to have a contingency plan for administrative errors by USCIS. I think the third point, which is the failure to issue receipt number, this is exactly what ties into step one, is you absolutely need to have a copy of the check that was cashed. You need to have proof of delivery, whether it's FedEx or UPS, make sure you have a copy of the delivery, right? Do not request signature confirmation, otherwise the file gets kicked back. Make sure you're using a reliable carrier. Make sure you're immediately responding to Lockbox if you don't see a receipt within 10 days. Keep on top of these things until and unless you have all the receipts in hand. And once you have the receipts in hand, it is very important to make sure that you add these receipts to your USCIS portal so that you're able to track your cases. Petition incorrectly rejected. Again, this is very common. This happens when you're filing with a regional center that has filed the 956F but hasn't received the 956F receipt because Lockbox does not know about the stipulation that was entered in 2022/2023. And then there's the last point of incorrect request for evidence. Again, it happens more than we'd like. There have been cases where they've said we haven't submitted stuff, even though the documents were submitted, and it was just a matter of resubmitting those documents. It is always better to resubmit the requested documents through the online portal because we have noticed that the approval rate is quicker if you're submitting response to the RFE online. This is because the government then has the ability to review your documents online. If you're going to ship, it goes through DC, it has to get scanned. By that time, the officer's forgotten about your case and it's sitting on a shelf somewhere. So very important to make sure you get your USCIS receipt notices and your account access notice, which allows you to then add all these cases to your USCIS portal. Fourth thing that I want to point out, I get a lot of clients freaking out about their 526E cases not being trackable. USCIS in the last 2 years has started digitizing the 526E cases, and so all the case numbers begin with IOE. I would say close to 98% of these cases are not trackable. What you will see, as Sam has demonstrated on the right, is your case status is unavailable. That case status does not update unless the government touches the file. I still urge all my clients to add the case to your portal because if it's not trackable, none of the third-party apps are going to be able to track it. They're third-party apps as lawfully USCIS app, you are not able to add these cases because it's unavailable. However, you can add it to your USCIS account, and the minute there's an update on that case, you will see it update. You'll get an email. Also, what this does is makes the RFE accessible online. Ever since September 2022, we do not have to wait for the government to mail us the RFE. They upload a digital copy of the RFE on the USCIS portal. We're able to respond within 24 hours, and within 48 hours, we've seen turnaround approvals. Simple RFEs such as I-526Es receipt, unsigned subscription documents. All of this should be very simple. Immediately respond within half an hour, 45 minutes, 1 day max, and the government will come back and approve your case.